black, the extreme black, and you can hear your annoyance. It, but the black, the extreme black. I'm like, is that bad? Oh, it's bad. You can tell from the
Hit record.
British accents that that's not good.
You are listening to Author Shenanigans, two authors separated by a common language.
I hit record, just so you know.
Okay, so that'll work. So black, extreme black. So
Yeah, but I can't say stuff like that. Like, it doesn't come across in my author notes. If I just slag off my hair, like, it's not gonna be the same as you laughing about it. The thing that's funny about it is the way that you pick up on it and laugh about it. That's what's funny.
But see, yes, I do. Not at you particularly.
Yeah.
But okay,
You laugh
come on.
at everyone with hair.
Yeah.
Or hair troubles. An equal hair opportunist.
Well, I said before you hit record that I'm looking at having to possibly take mine from the amount of gray that I have. When I got it cut a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, before I went to London, I look at the ground and I'm just shocked at how much gray is sitting on the ground. And I'm like, fuck, I'm old.
Age is a bitch.
Age is a bitch. Yes, it is. I hate that bitch. Boom, boom. So, I don't know. Anyway, just about to go off on a tangent. Back to your hair, not mine. Yours, not mine. What I
Well,
find
we can talk about your hair.
Oh, that's funny to you. Okay, good. At least you're waking up. 5 minutes ago, you were like,
I've done 1,500 words today, and it's like almost lunchtime.
Oh, well, shit. Put me in my place. I've not done 1.5 words today.
It was great. Well, you wrote me a couple of essays on Slack.
Well, okay, yes, to the book. I have written a fair amount because I've got to get other things, but not on a story. Okay, so back to the reason I find your hair. One, you are a physicist. You should understand the molecular construction of hair.
No.
That goes through in the genetics for stripping the color. Or those nucleotides.
Chemistry.
Huh?
No, it's chemistry. And like talking chemistry to a physicist is like talking biology. Like, it's an art subject. It's not even science. Then the other thing, it's an art.
Chemistry is not a science. Then why do they have chemistry in the science?
It's an arts kind of engineering kind of subject. It's not actual like science. So anyway.
Oh, you have just started an argument. All I have to do is announce that. Oh, by the way, physicist, science fiction author Ellie Clarke has now stipulated that chemistry is an art, not a science.
Let me say this. It's kind of like what romance is to like actual hardcore sci-fi. That's what it is.
Okay.
If you were talking in like indie terms, that's what chemistry is to physics.
Okay, so what you're saying is that chemistry is a little bit more nebulous because of the vast amounts of different aspects. For instance, in chemistry, you might say A mixed with B will give you C unless you're above this temperature, below this temperature. So what you're really saying is it is a science, but there's so many variables in it, it's not cut and dried.
Well, no, it can be cut and dried when they have all of the information, but like trying to memorize all of that shit is pointless because like, okay, so in physics we talk about like the quantum quantum model of an atom, right? A single atom or a single.
Isn't that a guess though? At a certain level, I mean, you don't have pictures.
No. We have models of it, and we can draw pictures of the models. Yeah, probability functions, right? So my point is like once you understand the principle, what is the point in then going on and on and on about doing like endless kind of combinations of these things to show what each of the different models do? And that's what chemistry is. So chemistry is basically like nth degree combinations and permutations of the quantum model. And so I don't know, I just think like once you've done a hydrogen atom with like one electron, what else is there to do? And then it becomes a case of like, okay, well, what are the principles underlying that? And so that's what's so interesting to me, and that's why theoretical physics, right? Because it's like, okay, well, what are the other ways that we can describe this, and how do we bring all of the other different fields or how do we model these different fields so that we get something closer and closer to an approximation of what is actually going on. And so, like, in a chemistry model of quantum mechanics, you don't even look at gravity, because like gravity is irrelevant at that scale. You see what I mean?
Oh, I hear you. I hear this. I hear all of your clarification.
Yes, it's kind of like pointless to me. It's like cataloging, I don't know, stamps.
Chemistry is pointless.
It's like train spotting. It's the train spotting of science.
What the hell is train spotting? I have heard that term for decades. I don't have a fucking clue. To what I know, it is like I spotted a train. I'm like, there's some tracks right there. If you stay,
People do that. And like,
wait,
you have people that stand on platforms with little notebooks, and I don't know, like maybe they don't use notebooks anymore. Maybe they have spreadsheets on their little palm or whatever. But so they check off what, like, I knew an engineer who was like a color technician in like digital computing, and he would know like the speeds of the different lines in and you have two speeds. You have the speeds that like they monitor in the train, and then you have the land speed, which is the speed that you and I would recognize and be able to go, oh right, okay, 30 miles an hour or whatever. So what they do is they stand on platforms, and like each train has a blur thing, you know, a number.
Yeah, number. Oh, okay.
Right. And then they take off the number. And, you know, all the different types of different numbers, and, you know, some of them have been decommissioned, and like people know which ones have been decommissioned, and we've got new ones coming out, and the new ones are this and that, and they use the tilty, what's it, and they can go there. And you know, like it's a thing, and it's, you know, they kind of, I bet they have forums, you know, like, or email lists where they go, oh, I saw a 544443 train today. Ooh.
Is this kind of like bird spotting then?
Ornithology, yes, except less exciting.
What? What? But it's okay. Notwithstanding what they're spotting,
ornithology amuses me, because when they go on about tits, they saw a blue tit or a something tit, and I'm just like, oh, you're talking about tits with a straight face in front of your wives. It's amusing, you know. So.
Oh, okay, but so let's deconstruct this just a little bit and go, okay, but it's the sheer emotional connection between someone who does bird spotting and train spotting is probably similar, meaning they are aware of the rarity of whatever it is they find, and similar to a fishing person whose purpose is to go and catch, they don't obviously catch and release, they're just trying to see it. And so if you see a bird that is not rare, you're like, oh, blue jay, or I'm in Texas, big fucking deal. But if you see a cardinal, okay, they're not as common in Texas. And if you like birds in the first place, right, and then the fact that you get to see a really rare one is kind of like catching a fucking Pokemon. So what we're saying is train spotting.
Yes, it's like that. Yes.
The train spotting is the same thing. Catching a Pokemon because you saw a particular, hey, what if you have a diesel engine that's not been
10 times more boring?
Well, for you.
And dry. Because it's a number. It's a number on a train, and all these trains look the same.
But
it does that cold platform, like with your flask, and like,
oh, it's a drinking game. So maybe you get to drink twice when you get to see that. But is that number? Huh?
Do you want to know about drinking games? So apart from the fact that I've invented some, which we can come back to at some point.
Can you research that on the internet, that particular game goes back to whichever name you were using at the time?
What?
You said you've invented drinking games.
Oh yeah. No, they're not on the internet. They're not. Okay. No, you don't.
So give me one example of one of your games so that the fans listening to this would know.
So it's like just coming up with premise lines. So coming up with that like premise. So you have to like put combinations of stuff together, and you know, like if the drunker you get, the more outrageous they get. And so for writers, it's great. It's kind of genius. It's to get people thinking in terms of like conceptual ideas for, you know, stories and worlds and shit like that.
Okay, so.
But since you don't drink, you're never going to play this with me.
True. Yes, the one time I did a drinking game, it was a person who would drink, another person, I think 3 people who would drink, and myself, and so you had to hit it, and I'm drinking a Coke, and I'm going to, by the way, driving back that night. But the guy to my right, his name is Chet. if anyone remembers these graters that had 4 sides, so these cheese graters, and so you'd have a side and you'd turn it, and there'd be another side with a bunch of little, things pushed up through it. So I guess you grate cheese. Maybe that was a Parmesan cheese grater. I don't know. I was barely out of my 20s, and barely out of my teens, if not still 19. Anyway, now Chet is a fairly mellow guy, but he ends up getting so smashed. And this is, by the way, to date us, this is the first time that ripped jeans was actually fashionable back in the 80s. So we're in this condo that's on this lake, and it's probably about an hour north out of Houston. And he's staring at the wall. And of course, I'm young and naive because I've never done anything remotely like this, or even been to parties where people are drinking. And he's staring at it, and he goes up and he grabs this 4-corner or 4-position cheese grater, where you would grate the cheese from the outside, go into it, and come out, right? And he's just staring at it, and I have no fucking clue what he's going to do, right? And so we go around and do another couple of passes, and then he takes it and he rubs it across his jeans to fuck up his jeans even more, right? So yeah, exactly. Now we pass around another couple. He takes a sip. He looks at this thing. He puts it to his forehead and rubs it back and forth really bad. And I'm like, fuck, what are you doing? And there's just a pause. And then he screams in pain because the pain has finally gotten through his drunk receptors into his brain. And I don't know how he didn't fuck up his, yeah, exactly. I don't know how he didn't fuck up his, but whatever. Which is probably still another reason I never get drunk to this day. It makes you put cheese graters to your forehead and rip it across.
That is stupid.
Yes.
No, I think so drunk just lowers your inhibitions. If you're already stupid, you're just kind of lowering that baseline of where you act on stupid.
Well, he wasn't really, or he isn't, I presume he's still alive. But he's wasn't a stupid guy to me at that time at all. But I don't know what was going on, but he would definitely, I think.
That is nuts.
Yes, that is nuts. So anyway, going back to train spotting, does the number of the train represent that engine or simply that route? It's that engine, right?
Oh, that train itself.
Okay, so by definition, then that engine has special.
It's unique.
It's unique, exactly. And the older they get,
and that it looks exactly the same as all the others, but it's actually a unique entity.
Have you ever looked into train engines? I'm going to guess no.
Seriously, no.
No.
Not beyond the conversations that I've had with train spotters.
Which is infinitely more than me.
Okay.
So, but I am aware at least that there are different types of engines, electric, diesel, smoke, whatever, right? And even in Texas, near the house over there, there is an engine that's like an old steam engine. And so it's a big deal to get on this engine and steam from there all grapevine over into Dallas, Fort Worth, or Fort Worth.
Right.
So
see, the physics would be physics to chemistry would be the physics of how it works and what it's doing, and the mechanisms and the.
But it's also rarity.
Well, okay, fine.
Okay, so my question is, what if just for the sake of argument, that somehow you figured out there's 525 engines in the whole of the UK Isle? I got to believe there's more, but let's pretend there is. The chances you seeing all 525 is fucking rare, but if you got to catch them all, then you're trying to go through and see how many of them you actually catch. This isn't making it. What's that got to do with chemistry? That has that's back on the train spotting.
No, that's what that's the mentality that I associate with having to do chemistry. It's just, okay, fine. Yes, all of this stuff exists, and all of this stuff is fascinating in its own right. If you have that mentality to care to go into that kind of detail.
But why do you like physics?
Abstract thinking.
You don't want to play with reality.
No. It's about getting to the core. Like, what is the core mechanism that builds, that makes this whole universe and reality, T's plural maybe even, tick? What is that? Not like, how does it manifest in a bazillion different ways? To me, that's infinitely more interesting and exciting.
Okay.
You've been listening to Author Shenanigans.
2 authors separated by common language.
I'm Ellie Clarke, author of... I couldn't even say my name then. Here we go.
That's right. Go ahead. Did you spell it right?
Fuck off. You've been listening to Author Shenanigans.
Two authors separated by a common language.
I'm Ellie Clarke, author of The Ascension Myth.
And I'm Michael Anderley, creator of the Arthurian Gambit.
And you can check out other episodes on lawnfairies.com. Bye for now.
Ciao. Arrivederci. Auf Wiedersehen.
So you took these physics classes some X amount of years ago, which is probably only 16 months, as young as you are. So presuming then, but let's pretend that you took them 20 years ago when you were not even born yet, I'm sure. So when that happened, what's the difference between the thought of physics 20 years ago and today? How much of what they thought 20 years ago has been proven correct? How much of it has been proven wrong? And how much are we still not fucking sure?